What's up, everybody? It's Andre Iguodala from the Golden State Warriors here. It's my pleasure on behalf of New Amendment and the Point Forward podcast to invite you all out on Friday, March 10th to Beyond the Big Ten live recording taking place at Over Under Sports Bar in Lincoln Park, Chicago. That's Friday, March 10th at Over Under from 3 to 7 p.m. Look forward to catching y'all there.
What's up, everybody? We are back for another edition, the final regular season pod of Champaign Room Hoops podcast, brought to you by the good folks at New Amendment. As part of the Beyond the Big Ten podcast network, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube at Beyond Big Ten. Also, make sure to follow on all social media, Twitter, IG, TikTok, with the handle Beyond Big Ten. Again, I'm former Illini point guard Sam Maniscalco, joined by Illini legend Brandon Paul at BP3 and Mr. Versatility himself, Billy Cole at BuckWildBill33. Thanks for tuning in once again. Billy, Brandon, what's good?
What's going on? Hey, Bill, how did you get that nickname, Buck Wild Bill? What did Buck Wild Bill get into back in the day?
That's a long, weird answer, but I'll keep it short for the podcast. I used to be a ball boy for Richwoods High School from like 3rd grade to 8th grade, and I used to go in the locker room after big wins, and it just like morphed. They started calling me Wild Bill, and then it just like morphed into them like messing with me. You know, you always got to mess with the little kid ball boys, and then eventually from like 3rd grade to 8th grade, somehow throughout all the teams it morphed into Buck Wild Bill, and that was it. It just stuck, and then it actually shortened after that. So then a lot of my buddies now call me Buck.
They had you in there acting wild, jumping around, dancing on the lockers, taking your shirt
you know
off.
how you can get little kids to do anything when they're in a locker room. It's just like, go, hey, go hit coach's butt. Go snap that towel on his butt or something.
Locker room talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Brandon, you have anything besides BP3, or that just like fit from day one?
BP3 and just B Paul. Like everybody, the only people that call me Brandon is like my parents and like my grandma. Like some of my friends do, but it's usually BP or just B Paul.
Were you 3 in high school too?
No, I was 23 in high school. I started wearing 3 I wore it before college, but that's like my main when I really started wearing number 3, and I only wore numbers outside of 3 my professional career when 3 wasn't available, but 3 was my go-to.
I remember when I transferred to U of I and like it was official when Jarens had hit me up and was like, hey, what number you want, fam? And I'm like, I was 5 at Bradley, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to ask, because Darren was 5 at Illinois. I was like, I'm about to ask for that number. They ain't going to give me that. So I just picked 0 because nobody else had been 0 before. So it was either going to be 0 or 55. I should have went with 55 for Jason Williams.
Oh, okay. I hear that.
But anyways, all right, so let's get into some X's and O's. So regular season is officially done. Illinois finishes 11-9, middle of the pack. I think tied for 5th in the Big Ten standings. A pretty jumbled up, Big Ten season. So Underwood can claim, I think he's been top 5 finish in every year he's been in Illinois. So just a long, grueling season. I want to talk about, because we've had a boatload of pods trying to figure this team out. I don't think we've done it yet. I don't think anybody has. I don't think they've done it yet. But I want to talk about 2 things that you liked about this regular season, or 2 things that you thought we did well, or whatever you want to talk about with that. And then 2 things that you disliked, and something that this season, for whatever reason, didn't suit your eye, and something that maybe we need to work on, or something we need to do heading into the postseason. So, Brandon, why don't you go ahead first?
I would say 2 things that I didn't like was the fact that we just we're so talented, and the team works so hard. They've done so much to put themselves in the position that they're in now, and obviously the work starts years prior when you start building from the ground up from the new guys that got there. But the fact that we still didn't really have the best shot selection. I think consistently it put us in a bind throughout the season where, certain areas down the stretch, had we chosen a better shot, or had we chosen to extend our possession, it would have gave us a better chance to win. And the next thing is final possessions. I talked about it at the last podcast, and I might have talked about it in the previous one, the one before then. Last second shot, shot clock's running down. Who's getting the shot? They came out of, we'll talk about the game, but they came out of a huddle last game, and they didn't really seem like they knew who was getting the shot, what was going on. And we've seen it a few different possessions now. Now we're getting down to the Big Ten tournament, getting down to the NCAA tournament. They got to figure that out. Two things I really liked was how resilient the team was. No matter what was thrown at us, players leaving, players getting injured, players getting caffeine poisoning, no matter what the case may be, they found a way to find a way, and especially like last game, they lost the game, but I was really proud of how they played, how they battled throughout the whole 40 minutes plus. And the next thing I would say is I think these guys do enjoy playing with each other. I think they're hungry, and all the stuff that they've went through throughout the year, now we get to see them put it on the line now. Now we got the Big Ten tournament. Now we got March Madness coming up, so we're excited about it.
Yeah, mine are going to sound really similar as well. I think my biggest positive from the year, and you guys have heard me say this all year, but the freshman class, right? I think for me it's Brad has been a great recruiter since he's been here, but this really puts the cherry on top for me. I think just a cornerstone team that almost makes me wonder if, with some of the struggles, like we talked about him and Matt Meyer not seeing eye to eye, it almost makes me wonder if he will continue to stack big classes and maybe slightly veer away from the transfer portal that, this team has looked a little disjointed and just constantly redefining roles all season. It looks like we've talked about that a lot. So it makes me wonder, right? Like if he just looks at this class and what they've morphed into and what they're going to be, and he just says, I'm going to stack 4 of these in a row, and then I'm going to be very selective with 1 or 2 pieces from the portal. That wouldn't shock me at all. And I have that as a huge bonus. Just the fact, again, that the program's in such good hands with someone in this staff, Chester and Coach Anderson, that can continue to go out and bring in talent that's ready right away, right? So that's number 1 for me. Number 2 is the toughness and the grit. We saw it on display again. I mean, kudos to Sam, because he even called it at the end of last week's episode where he was like, I'm just really frightened with the way we're going to come out and play against. This is that type of game. It's on Fox. It's a early afternoon weekend game. And sure enough, 8-0 timeout, 11-0 before we finally get our first basket. But then all of a sudden we get down 20 with like 18 minutes left. And I mean, 20 against their number 5 team in the country on the road at probably the toughest place to play in the Big Ten, and it's tied with 1 minute left. That just doesn't happen, right? That's toughness, that's grit, that's like never say die attitude. I don't think every coach in the world is capable of producing that, and I think we have it in spades. But that kind of leads into my negatives, right? So intelligence, I would call like what Brandon said is like shot selection and intelligence. All that kind of morphed into taking care of the basketball. I think, Terrence Shannon had like 6 turnovers, 4 in the first half, and it just killed us. Like that start killed us. I just don't think we play. And again, this isn't a shot at their intelligence off the basketball floor. I just don't think we collectively play very smart enough to win games. We're kind of like heavy metal basketball, right? We just like so talented. We're just going to rock out and try and blow your eardrums out, but we don't know when to take our foot off the pedal and win a game. And I think that to me is maybe the biggest negative of this team. And it's, again, anything could happen moving into tournament season. We have the talent, but eventually, it just scares me that the old ball handling, turnovers, and shot selection is going to rear its head in one of these games, and we're going to be out to a team we shouldn't be out to.
Yeah, Bill, you stole a little bit of my thunder there. One of my likes was definitely the emergence of the freshmen. So that for his freshman class has been awesome. And I think the Big Ten words came out today. I was surprised that Epps wasn't on a newcomer team. I know there's a lot of good picks on there, but that surprised me. The other thing I liked about this team, or maybe I should say the potential of this team, is I love their versatility, especially Coleman Hawkins, which I think he's really showed out, the last few weeks as far as, his total repertoire on the offensive and defensive end. But the versatility of this team, multiple different lineups you can play. We've seen Underwood go big and ride Dane Danger out for the majority of some games in the middle of the Big Ten season when he had to. And we've also seen him go small and with Coleman Hawkins at the 5 and sometimes even smaller than that. And but with Ty Rodgers and RJ Melendez, these guys are such versatile players. I really like the versatility of our team and what it could present matchup-wise for opposing teams. As far as the things I did not like, Bill, you touched on it, the shaky starts, right? Coming out flat often. I think out of our last 6 games, I think we might have been trailing at halftime, maybe 5 out of the 6 or the last 6 games, which doesn't bode well. Now, that can tie into the other half of it is we usually come back in the second half. So, like, the resiliency, right? Like Brandon said. Yeah. I don't know, that having that almost insurmountable uphill battle in the second half at some point is going to come back to bite us. And I'm hoping that Brad and the staff has painted a picture about how, listen, it's March now and you can't have these flat starts because it's basically win or go home, right? And then the other thing I didn't like is a theme we talked about all season and something I harped on is the no defined identity. Usually midway through a season, 3/4 of the way through the season, you kind of know what kind of team you are, whether you hang your hat on the defensive end, whether you have quick hitters and you're a scoring or a transition team that really mucks things up. And I think we've shown many hats in spurts, right? Mm-hmm. We've shown that we can be a gritty defensive team when we need to be. We've also shown that we can wreak havoc full court defensively and get into a transition game and get up and down, which is when I think we're at our best. And Bill, you've mentioned that a lot. We've also shown in games that we can grind out half-court battles. But the fact that we can't point to one thing and all agree on this is this team's identity, this is a thing where 8 minutes left in the game, we really got to hang our hat on and go win a game. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. So a lot of questions unanswered, but at the same time, like you said, Brandon, a very talented team that we talked about this beginning of the Big Ten season. Like, this team is built for March, right? Underwood said it multiple times. This team is built for March. He said it the other day in his presser after Purdue and said, I wouldn't want to play us. Well, yeah, no shit. You're the coach of the team, so you're supposed to say that. But I agree with the sentiment of we're very scary as far as our potential and our versatility. So with that being said, let's move into a little bit of scouting report and preview what's coming up at the Big Ten tournament this weekend. So when you talk about a college basketball season, right, you guys know this, the 3 things at the beginning of the season, one of the things the staff talks about is it's basically 3 seasons in one, right? You have your preseason slate, your 8 to 12 non-conference games, your holiday tournaments and stuff before you get into the conference season. That's kind of one season in itself. Mm-hmm. The next part of the season is the long, grueling conference season, right? Which is what they just went through in the Big Ten, which is now 20 games. So, and then you get into the postseason, right? That's the third and final chapter of a college basketball season. And one thing I want to mention is, and you guys have been through it before, after the conference season, like, it's almost like it's such a fresh start, right? It almost feels like it's a new season. It's a chance to regroup. It's a chance to exhale a little bit. I mean, at this point, for these guys, some of them are probably sick of their teammates. Some of them are probably sick of practice. A lot of them are probably sick of hearing Underwood talk and harp on the things over and over again, and the rest of the staff. It's a chance to exhale, get these guys going back together, and then one common goal of being successful and making a run in March. So that's where I think they're at from a team standpoint. As far as matchups go, Penn State. So we ended up getting the 7th seed. We play Penn State.
Which is who I didn't want to see, low-key.
Yeah, so we got spanked by him twice in the regular season, right? So they say all the time, the old adage is, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, right? However, Jalen Pickett, first team All Big Ten, has pretty much had his way with us and dominated us. So let's talk a little bit about this Penn State game coming up on Thursday.
like you said, 41 and 8 assists against us in the last meeting. Just literally did whatever he wanted against multiple defenders. We tried to throw everyone at him. No one had an answer. What does give me a little, makes me feel a little better is we did double Zach Edey and kept him below his his scoring average last game against Purdue. We doubled a little bit the game before that. So maybe we're starting to learn a little bit that you can't just let these, like Brandon called it, I love that analogy, the head of the snakes, these teams that just have one player that everyone flows through. We can't just let them get in a rhythm. So that's what I'll be watching for early is like, who is Brad? Who is the very first person they put on him? Is it going to be Sincere Harris? Is it going to be, with his energy, is he going to start? I don't like the fact that he started RJ Melendez last game with Epps out. I think Melendez is an energy player, right? He's the type of guy you put in at the first TV timeout when Purdue's exhausted, right? He started, and not that he's a bad player or anything. I think he's like a Ginobili off the bench. Like, use him, play him to his strengths, and start someone like Ty Rodgers or Sincere Harris on Epps. I think those players are more, they're going to morph into your starters sooner rather than later, right? So that first, we talked about it so much on this podcast, but that first 2 minutes, I'm looking to see who's guarding Pickett, and then we've talked about him a lot on this pod as well. Danger, what is going on with him, right? Like he's had that great stretch in early February, and then all of a sudden he's basically fell off the face of the earth. He had a good start and then really didn't play against Michigan in the second half. So I don't know. Him and Brad obviously aren't seeing eye to eye with some things. But I really think if we're going to do this in the postseason, he's got to have a big game against Penn State, where they're a small team, right? They're very small. They really don't have a center. They put in this, that one white guy that just tries to like body bang but he's like 6'5". He's like a 6'5" center. So I don't know. I harp on him a lot of him being a key to us, but I really think out of all the games that this is the one where we need to go inside early, get the ball, and then final thing, we shot 25% from three against Penn State in the last meeting. Horrible shots. We need to, like Sam said, this is a new season, right? Who cares what we shot? I know we finished 350th in the country in three-point percentage, but this is a new season. This is March. Go ahead and get hot. It's contagious, right? So if we hit a few threes, we can get hot and we can win this tournament.
I'm gonna piggyback off of three of the points you made, Bill, because they were good points. First one being, we did double Edey, and we did a good job doing that. I think he had 8 in the first half, and then 5 going into the last few minutes going into the second half as a breakdown. And it's good to see how we've kind of adjusted to the rotations off of a trap, but you're trapping a center. You're trapping a big body center. It's harder to trap a guy who's got the ball in his hands, a majority of the game, which is what we're going to see against Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see how we're going to deal with that. To go into your second point, who's going to guard him, who's coming off the bench, who's starting. I agree, maybe Melendez shouldn't start, but I think Sincere Harris is the perfect 6-man guy off the bench, perfect energy guy to come in and bring the sparks. Maybe someone's in foul trouble, maybe someone needs a breather. You come in, and there's not really much of a drop-off as far as your energy is concerned, maybe a little bit offensively, but he's not in there for offense. So I do like him coming off the bench. I do like a matchup of Ty Rodgers on him, mixing it up with Ty, a little bit of Shannon. And then you got to throw Melendez in there too. You gotta give him different looks because he's that talented of a player. And Ty is probably going to be our best bet, but he's still figuring out. I think he's such a good defender, and he's not going to get the respects that he probably deserves from the refs because he's a freshman. So he'll pick up little ticky-tack fouls just from being maybe a little bit overly aggressive, which is not his fault. He's playing the game the way he knows how to play the game, and as he gets a little bit more experience, he'll get a little bit more respect as well. And the last point was, I don't really remember the last point.
So what's your thought on Purdue really ate us up without having a ball handler on the floor? Terrence Shannon turned it over like the first 2 possessions of the game.
Absolutely.
And then they went to Coleman Hawkins, and he basically brought it up the rest of the game. So that's the only reason I say maybe Sincere Harris. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He's also an energy player, but I just wonder if other teams are going to scout that when Epps is out. And I don't know. I always hated when I had to help bring the ball up the floor, just because you're not ever when you were asked to do it.
the confidence in a lot of guys is not there.
Yeah, like the Missouri game and like the Dayton game, the teams that press, if you're not used to it, it changes your whole game. And I thought Terrence Shannon really played bad against Purdue because maybe he had to bring the ball up the floor the first couple games. It mentally frazzles you, right? And so I'm wondering, like, do we need to fix that just by putting Harris in the starting lineup, just to someone that is used to handling the ball?
Right.
Right.
Have we heard anything on Jaden? I haven't heard anything about
I haven't heard really
his availability and whatnot.
Haven't either. I'm wondering though if hopefully he'll be back so that if he is back for the tournament, it's not like his first game back and he goes through that warming up process.
I mean, look, let's be honest. Outside of Jaden, I mean, even Sincere in there, we still have questionable ball handling. So it's not like much has changed. If Jaden's off the floor,
right.
You know, if you're getting pressed, you kind of just got to hope to move the ball, get the ball into Coleman Hawkins because no one's really going to bother him up top, and get the ball to maybe Ty Rodgers is starting to take some of that pressure off the point guards because he's not a ball handler, but he's solid and he knows how to change directions, and he's making the right plays as of late.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing too, and I think we've done this a lot last few games. I mean, Coleman Hawkins has grown tremendously. I mean, he's become a elite decision maker and playmaker for us. I mean, I think he averages the most assists on the team, to be honest. So that he could be a pressure release and a guy we kind of play through. But as far as the Penn State game goes, my gut tells me we beat them because of the fact that we've taken our medicine from them twice now. Like, shame on us if it happens 3 times in a row, right? But as far as what I want to see, like, don't let this dude, I mean, he's great, Jalen Pickett. He's got kind of like that old man game, right? He's really tough to guard because he backs you in, he takes advantage of smaller defenders, and he picks you apart. They got shooters everywhere, right? So switch something up. I don't care if the first 5 guys that individually are matched up on him, that he burns them and he roasts them, whatever. Like, switch something up. Send a double at him. The thing I want to see is if they beat us, let it be that he picked us apart, you know, with assisting the ball, moving the ball around, whatever. Somebody else on the team, the others beat us. Don't let this dude completely control the tempo of the game because he's that good and he can do that. And he's got such a feel for that. And here's the other thing. Penn State. Right. Penn State is ultra confident right now. I don't know if you saw their last second, you know, overtime win versus Northwestern, which was a huge game, and then they go beat Maryland on a last second shot tip in. So their confidence is high, and their confidence is high when they see, you know, Illinois too. So I want to say my gut tells me we beat this team, but because of the way this season has gone, like, watch us come out and lay an egg, and I wouldn't be surprised either. But I think we beat them, and then what I think is awesome is the fact that if we beat them on Friday night, we get to play Northwestern in the quarters. Northwestern got a 2 seed. Shout out to, I know it's an Illinois podcast, but shout out to Chris Collins for that. He did an unbelievable job this year with them. But I just think that would be an awesome environment in Chicago. You know, you hear all this stuff about Illinois or Chicago's Big Ten team. Northwestern highest finish in the Big Ten. Huh?
Yeah. When's the last time Illinois and Northwestern faced each other in the Big Ten?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Big Ten tournament.
But that would be an awesome matchup on Friday night. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I agree. Shout out to, like you said, Coach Collins. I think he's just great for the Big Ten, to be honest. You know, he's got that Duke background, and then he comes in and, you know, I kind of grew up with Carmody where they tried to win with, you know, kind of junk offenses and defenses. And now he's kind of turned that program into being more respectable, right? They win on their own merit. They win like a real team wins. So like you said, I know we're an Illinois basketball podcast, but I think you know, give credit where it's due and recognize when someone does well. And I think him and Juwan Howard and Fran McCaffrey really stuck out to me this year as just like, they got young teams, right? They've had talent that's left in the last couple of years, and they reload, and the Big Ten is so deep. And when you have 14 teams that are this good, and really there's only one team that you really expect, you kind of walk into the gym expecting to win, and that's Minnesota, right? And at the same time, I think about it when we had 10 teams in the Big Ten, and Northwestern was like an absolute gimme. So you really only had 9 teams. You had to you had to go after, and just like you look at the records and how could we have this many teams bunched up at like 10-8? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like the fact we didn't know the seeding until like the last week before the tournament is also, this is just a bizarre season. It'll be cool to see. I know on the bracketology stuff, we'll have a bunch of Big Ten teams lumped in whatever region we go to, just because there's so many getting in. So really cool storylines with the Big Ten this year. It'll be interesting to see. One, like you said, Sam, if we can get through Penn State, which is a big if in my mind. I don't think we match up well with them. We have the in-state rival next, possibly, and then anything could happen.
Yeah, we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah, I think, you see it all the time on Twitter too, and especially all the media people that cover Illinois from literally the start of the season. You've talked about this team is built for March, right? Built for March, and they are with their talent. But it's tough to say that when, I just don't think we're the most confident team right now. I don't think we've lost confidence. I don't think these players individually have lost confidence. I really do think they can beat anybody in the country, which is a good thing. I don't see them play for 40 minutes that way. Like they can beat it. It's almost like, put it this way, it's almost like, and we've been through this before. I feel like they feel they can flip a switch, right? And they might be able to. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe they're just they were so worn out and they were just coasting. They got older players who have been through it before that. Whatever. They're just waiting to flip this switch here in March, and maybe we see that. I don't know. It's possible. They have the talent to do it, but maybe that's what they're waiting to do.
Yeah, I think they'll do it. Man. Like you said, Sammy, we owe Penn State one. We get that one. We go see Northwestern in the next round, and shout out to Ernest with the little tidbit. They're 3-0 against Northwestern in their meetups in the Big Ten tournament. So knock on wood, keep that streak going, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's transition into one of our favorite segments. Last one of the regular season, Word on Campus. So we're going to tie this into what's coming up this weekend. I'll let you two go here, too. I've only played in one Big Ten tournament, and it was in Indianapolis. Being, from Chicago, I kind of wish it was in Chicago. But I only played in one Big Ten tournament game versus Iowa, and we got smacked, so there's not much to talk about there. So I'll let you guys talk about your favorite, stories or memories of playing in this awesome tournament.
Yeah, really fond memories of this tournament. I think we played all 4 years at Indianapolis, which is, for me, that's an awesome basketball arena at Conseco Fieldhouse. I think it's called Bankers Life now, maybe. But I loved that arena. I loved playing there. My fondest memory, or not fondest, but the memory that sticks out to me the most, my junior year, we were like on the bubble. We actually had a decent Big Ten schedule. We started 4-0, and then we had a 5-win run in the middle of there where we beat Michigan State on College game day. It was a top 5 team. We went to Wisconsin the next game right after that and beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin. It was like the first time in 81 games or something Bo Ryan had lost at home to a unranked Big Ten team. So that was a big win. And then all of a sudden we're like, I remember like after that Wisconsin game, we were talking, Dimitri had a quote where he was like, we were like one game behind first place to win the conference. And then all of a sudden we got Ohio State beat the hell out of us at home. And then we were back into like the bubble talk. So we go to the Big Ten tournament. We have a game against Ohio State. I don't know for anyone that remembers this. In 2010, we play Evan Turner. Ohio State was a top 5 team, and we're playing for our lives. So this is the Big Ten semifinals, and we went into double overtime, which I think to this day, I know at the time it was the only double overtime game in Big Ten tournament history.
Yeah.
And it was just an absolute war. Dimitri was going off. Evan was going off. Buford for Ohio State, who was just a silent killer that no one ever talks about. And I'm guarding John Diebler, who's like, you have to be as locked in as any player you've ever guarded, because he will shoot from the half court line. And I just think there was a point where we were up 10 with like 10 minutes left. Ohio State went on a 20-0 run at some point and went up 10, and then we came back and tied the game in regulation, and then it went to double overtime. And so that's my Big Ten tournament story. Just a I think I played my career high minutes that game. I just remember feeling exhausted, which is maybe why, I'm so cognizant. Last episode, I said I don't care if they win a Big Ten game because I just want them to be, I want them to be 100% for the real deal. Like we've been saying, they're built for March. Well, let's see it and let's not have any excuses. But that game wore the hell out of me. And then so side note, Minnesota's on the other side of the bracket. They finished one game behind us, I think in 5th place. They end up going to the championship game against Ohio State. They get into the tournament, and we're the first team out and have to be the 1 seed in the NIT. And so it's just like there's a whole lot of drama and storylines, but that's what the Big Ten tournament's all about. It's really interesting to see who's going to get in and who's going to be left out, with some of those bottom teams in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, I mean, another incentive for Penn State is I think if they beat us Thursday, they're probably locked there because I think they're one of the last 4 in right now. The last I saw, or they're floating on the bubble for sure. So they beat us, that probably locks them in.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a lot to play for. We gotta be ready to take their first shot.
What I think about when I think about the Big Ten tournament is, first of all, was watching Evan Turner in 2010 hit that shot against Michigan at the buzzer. He took like maybe 1 or 2 dribbles past half court, pulled up, and they just ran straight to the locker room after that. And then, of course, you go back to my shot my senior year against Minnesota, winding down Gus Johnson on the radio call. A lot of fun, a lot of memories. I just remember, like, after that shot, I saw that video so many times. I personally never, went to go watch it. I just saw it so many times from people sending it to me, people tweeting it to me, people posting it over the next several years. So that was the first game winner of my career. I'm sure I had some maybe back when I was in grade school, whatever. But as far as my college career, my high school career, that's one of my first game winners that I had up there, and that was an exciting season for us. Ended up making it to the tournament, making it to the second round, losing to a tough Miami team. But yeah, the Big Ten tournament, the atmosphere, the fans that come out. It's just the basketball mecca. People, you look in the crowd at the Big Ten tournament and you see the different colors represented throughout the arena, and it's just a lot of fun to witness that. And I got a chance to go and watch one of my first Illinois games to watch as a graduate was at the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis. I think it was maybe 2014 or 15. I had a chance. I had just recently had a shoulder surgery. So I had a chance to go and watch them play, and I drove down and watched them. But it's always a good time. March is always fun for basketball,
Yeah, for sure. Hell, I just thought of a story you guys are going to kick out. I'll make it quick. So my freshman year, we were horrible. We were the worst team in the Big Ten. My sophomore and senior year went to the tournament. My junior year, I just told the story. We were first 4 out and number 1 seed in the NIT. But my freshman year, we were god awful, and we were 11 seed out of 11 Big Ten teams. And we go to the Big Ten tournament. We have to play in the first 2 games, and we win those games. I don't even remember who we're playing. We win the earliest game no one cares about. And then we win the second game. All of a sudden we go to the semifinals and we win that, right? So we're 16 and 18 at this point. And we're playing. Now all of a sudden we wake up the final day, Sunday, and we're like, oh fuck, we can go to the tournament tomorrow. We're playing Wisconsin with this amazing Bo Ryan team with Joe Kravenhoff and Brian Butch in the championship game. And I'll never forget this is we were on the bench, and this is probably why we were horrible, because there was just a total lack of leadership. And I remember people talking about they were like, fuck, I got to cancel this flight. I might have to cancel this. We were so bad. People had flights to Florida booked for the next day. And
Panama City.
We ended up playing a tough game against Wisconsin and ended up losing. I think we just ran out of steam. And that was the first year of the CBI, right? And I remember no one really knew what was going on with that tournament, and they came in and they were like, well, you have to have a winning record to go to the NIT. You guys just missed out on that. So, but they did. We did catch an offer to the CBI, and we're gonna leave it up, to you guys or to the seniors if you guys want to playing the CBI for the first year. And they took like 2 seconds and we're like, no, man, we're good. We're good on that. And so the season ended and no one had to cancel their flights. Yeah, so I think that was the right decision not to play in the CBI Illinois. But yeah, so I'll never forget going in as the 11 seed in the Big Ten tournament and then having a chance to go to the NCAA tournament as your record was 16-19.
That's a pretty good run there.
Yeah.
What about prediction? So I think we win both. So I think we beat Penn State, and then we go and we beat Northwestern. I think we get to the semis. That's my prediction. I think we get to at least the semis in this tournament. I mean, we could win the whole thing. We're definitely one of the few teams that's talented enough to do that and has the pieces to go on a 4-game run and win 4 in a row. But my prediction is we beat Penn State. We owe them one. I think we play well. And then I think that Northwestern rivalry game, even though we beat them at home with that big comeback, I think we spoil their Big Ten tournament, and I think we beat them and get to the semis. Who we play there, I don't know. I looked at the bracket, but there's too much that can go on. But I think we win the first 2.
Shoot, I agree with that. I can see that happening.
Yeah. Sure. I think it all. I hate this Penn State matchup, if I'm being honest.
Come on, make a prediction, bro.
I do. Well, here's my prediction. If we beat Penn State, we'll go to the championship game. But I'm very unsure. I'm very 50-50 about the Penn State. They're going to have to prove it to me one more time that they can, like you said, Sam, please, I don't care if you deny him the ball 94 feet, make someone else beat you. If their shooters have 50 points combined on threes and we lose, it's like, whatever.
Right.
But just like, it's like you said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, just do not let him beat us. Make someone else beat you. And then if we do that, I think we match up better against Northwestern in that second game. And then I think Indiana's on our side of the bracket as well. So there's a rivalry game that we'll be up for. We owe them one. I feel good about our chances there. So there's my prediction. If we beat Penn State, we'll go to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I know you say you don't care if. I mean, I get your point as far as like if we don't win a game, totally fine, because it's such a long, grueling tournament. But if we get knocked out first round versus Penn State, I don't think that's good for confidence moving forward. Plus seeding, I think right now we're kind of in that like 7 and 9 spot right now. And Bill, you've talked about it the last 3 weeks. That 8-9 slot is not a good place to be. I think if we do win 2 or 3 games in this tournament, I think we can move up to in that 5, 6, 7 range, which I think could be better for us. But I don't think losing to Penn State does us any favors whatsoever.
No, I agree. I was probably being a little too much hyperbole when I said I don't care if we lose the first game, but I don't care if we don't win the Big Ten the tournament championship.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, obviously avoiding the 8-9 game is like crucial. Even if we're the 10 seed, if we were to lose or something, give me the 7 seed in the other side of the bracket, rather than having to play like like an Alabama second game or something, or some just absolute some team that's going to come out and just barn burn us down. I think we can play with anyone. That's the crazy part, is I don't even know what to expect, and the only thing we've done consistently all season is be inconsistent, right? And so, like you said, I hope Underwood knows this team better than everyone else, and I hope we are built for March. And I think we are, right? We're a tough team to play on 2 days' notice. So I think Penn State will be our toughest game because they'll be able to prep for us a little bit. But then when you start getting into tournament time and you have like less than 24 hours where you're doing walkthrough in a hotel ballroom with a lane that's made out of tape on the floor, I think we become a much tougher team to guard.
Yeah, I want to shift gears here a little bit because we haven't talked about this a ton all season. We've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but who on this team, who's a pro? Brandon, you can start. I mean, who's going to get to the league and stick in the league?
Are we talking about, so we're just talking about NBA, we're not just talking about in general, like professionals?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of pros on the team. I'm talking about like who's getting drafted and who's getting on an NBA roster and
man, this is hard. Obviously, Terrence, and I think just as far as if I'm looking from an NBA scout's mindset, Terrence Shannon's he's already put himself in a position to give himself a chance. You know, he's just, and about his game, he's really I'm a fan of his game, right? He goes downhill and he's a problem. He needs more space, but he's really not that skilled. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really have a skill set where it sets him apart at the next level. So whatever he does, he's got to polish his game, because he can't do what he's doing now at the next level. It's just not going to cut it. But he has a chance just from his ability to put the ball in the basket and his ability to guard multiple positions. And I think Ty Rodgers is another guy where I truly believe he's probably one of the best NBA prospects, just because he's young and he's a guy that fills multiple voids on the floor, and he's a guy that doesn't really care about doing anything but the little things, the dirty things, the teams that you can't wait to find this guy to add to your roster, right? He doesn't. It doesn't matter. He might want to play more. He might want more opportunity here or there, but you'll never know it from him because he's a professional. He carries himself as a professional. Matt Meyer, his game is so interesting to me as far as the NBA is concerned. He's put himself in a good position because his level of defending. I'm just trying to see what position he could play at the next level. What position is he in the NBA? And I'm not entirely sold on that as far as who you gonna match him up against, you know. Yeah, right. But he's skilled, you know. He's definitely got a chance. Dane Danger, I think he's a pro.
So regarding Terrence Shannon, I just don't see how he translates. I mean, I see athletically in his body and stuff. He just, like, a guy that's that size and, like you said, doesn't have the quote-unquote greatest skill set. You have to do something great, right? You got to shoot 45 from three, or you got to be a knockdown shooter, or you got to be, live in the paint and be ridiculously athletic or something, or have a mid-range game, whatever. I don't think he handles it well enough for his size at the next level. And I don't think he shoots it well enough. I think he'll, for sure, I mean, he might be a second-round pick. He'll do well in workouts and stuff. I just don't. Plus, he's a little older, right? He's not a sophomore. He's not 18 or 19 years old. Right. He's probably 22, 23 years old. So I do think Coleman Hawkins is my biggest pro prospect on this team because of his
that slipped out of my mind.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't talk about it because I want to talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead. I left it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think his size, his athleticism. Yeah. I mean, he's 6'10", 6'11". He's got a beautiful jump shot. I know I've talked about it all year.
1 through 5.
He just screams potential. He screams that he can switch on the smaller guys and stay in front. He screams that he can get out in transition. He's kind of like a point forward, can make decisions. He leads the team in assists. He's got great feel for the game. And with the new NBA now, with your traditional back to the basket guys gone, I just think he plugs in so well at that level. And here's the other thing. He's like barely even scratched the surface of his potential. It's like it's so evident. And he's another guy I think that the NBA game suits him so much better than college, right? Yeah. There's so much more space out there. A lot more
spacing, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it suits his game. As far as Meyer goes, early on in the year, I was like, what, this dude ain't a pro. I didn't realize he's 6'9", which is a positive. I think if he shot it better, I mean, I think he's a good shooter. I don't think he's a knockdown guy. He's not like a John Diebler type where, like, when he shoots it, like, it's going in. What has surprised me about him is I didn't know he can put it on the deck that well. I mean, he can get in the lane. Now, I'm not saying he could do it at the next level, but I thought he was kind of like, he is, crafty. Right. He's actually, I mean, he's pretty skilled with the ball in his hands. And I didn't know that. I thought he was more of a spot up, catch and shoot guy and maybe one or two dribbles straight line to the basket and stuff. But he's pretty crafty, pretty skilled. So I think, and he's high IQ, right? Which you want guys at the next level. Like Brandon, like you said, though, I think where he struggles is who does he match up with defensively at the next level? Mm-hmm. But I think he gets looks and he gets opportunities because of his skill set and his experience and stuff like that. So the younger guys, I'm not obviously ready to talk about that, but I just think Coleman Hawkins, he intrigues the hell out of me if I'm a pro scout.
Absolutely. He's definitely put himself in a position to have a chance, and he's going to get one for sure.
All right, so that wraps. Go ahead, Brent.
Oh, Bill. Man, you're not going to let me throw my picks out there? I got some fire hot takes there. I am. First of all, I'll make it real quick. I am going to put my hat in the ring where you won't go. I'm going to say Ty Rodgers is a pro, Jaden Epps is a pro, and Coleman Hawkins is a pro. The two that I am like most 50-50 on is actually the two super seniors, Matt Meyer and Terrence Shannon. I think, to me, and this isn't hate or anything, I hope they turn pro. To me, they're more like the guy that's making $1 million at Real Madrid than they are, playing for the Bulls. That's just me looking at their game. Like you said, they both have great natural ability, but I just don't see. Like you said, Sam, your point was really well spoken about. You almost have to be a specialist if you're not the guy in the NBA. Right. And they're both like jack of all trades. They do a lot of things really well. They're both really athletic, but I just don't see it translating for like a long career in the NBA. But I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that $1 million in Madrid is about 2+ in the league, so it won't be doing too bad.
Hell yeah. It's better than my England deal, I'll tell you that much.
All right, well, that wraps up the regular season. That was fun. This was our all three of us, I think, our first time doing this and kind of throwing it all out there and not knowing what to expect. And I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it's also given us an opportunity, to be honest. I followed college basketball in Illinois, but not probably as much as I have this year. I think it's a cool thing that it makes us pay attention and follow the team, and we're so much more in tune, the ins and outs, and with Big Ten basketball and stuff. And it's been a fun little ride. So although it's the end of the regular season on the Champaign Room Hoops podcast, we do have some stuff coming up this Friday, March 10th. In Chicago. We're doing a live pod at Over Under Bar in Lincoln Park and Halstead and Diversey. It's going to be a pretty cool event. All the pods from beyond the Big Ten will be represented, so each school is going to have their pod host up doing a live bit. And also, it's right in line with the Big Ten tournament over at the United Center. So it should be a fun time. Come out and support. It's a great bar. Again, Over Under Bar, 2723 North Halstead in Lincoln Park, Illinois, at Halstead and Diversey. Thanks everybody for joining us. You two have been awesome. Like I said, this isn't a goodbye. It's a see you later. We've really enjoyed this team. I think they've given us a lot of content to talk about. If they were 20-0, it wouldn't be as fun. I think the fact that it's been such an up and down roller coaster season has been good for us as well. So. Brandon, thanks for joining. Billy, thanks for joining. Champaign Room Hoops podcast. We will check in with you guys Friday. And then after that, hopefully some postseason fun and some postseason pods.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.